It's been a crazy few months, and not a lot of it has been building an airplane for a couple of reasons. A few reasons. One, I'm down to very few projects left. Number two, it's been a hang up with my registration. I'll expand on that in a minute. Number three, after 3.5 years flying in Alaska, I left in early September, and trying to think of a polite way to say this, it was time to go. For my new job, I went back to the air ambulance flying a PC-12, this time for Guardian. Turns out it's been a great company. I started the training in the third week of September, and here it is November 20th, and I just got home after my in-dock training, ground school training, flight training, and then going to Reno, Nevada, which is my home base, for 2 weeks of IOE, and then a solo flight, which I made yesterday. You just take the plane by yourself, go somewhere. I'm totally happy, by the way. Totally happy to be a line pilot instead of a chief pilot anymore. I can't tell you how much less stress there is in my life. I'll spend a couple days working on this airplane, and then on the 25th, I have to show back up in Reno for my first 2-week full shift. And this job is still 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It's a schedule that I love. There's no way I could go back to working a 9-to-5 job, or even 1 week on, 1 week off. Projects I have accomplished on this thing since my last video. I did pull the wheels off. I drilled the axles for the cotter pins. I installed newer, longer bolts. Working on the closeouts for around the horizontal stabilizer. One on the right side of the aircraft. I actually scrapped it out. Ordered some more. Got a new one. Actually got 3 new ones. Trimmed it, drilled it, and got it fit up. That one's coming out. I don't think they come out better than just okay. And then I'm going to work on the left one today. And then I have some rivets I still have to put in on the flaperon hinges. I have to do my headset jack still. What else have I done? I weighed the airplane. I still have a few gallons of fuel in the plane. Ultimately, I think it's going to be about 825 pounds. That's with all the upholstery and everything in it, and oil. Ready to go. So pretty close to my target weight of 800. I knew at some point when I started going with the acrylic doors and some other things I allowed for some mission creep, it was going to get heavier. And my baggage compartment doesn't have slots for the pushrod tubes that go up to the flaperon, so I will have to make a cardboard template that has a slot in it, cut the slot, and then that'll be done. And that's about it. So, paperwork. All right, a bit of a do-over. I was editing this episode and realized I was saying a bunch of random crap that probably wasn't true, and it was super boring. So, bottom line, for the registration of your aircraft, your experimental amateur built, as I do occasionally, I'll point to a Brian Bowen video. I'll put a link in the description below. He talks about the importance of the paperwork that you have to have ready. All that's true. So, I'm just going to focus on what was unique about my registration process. Why my paperwork took at least 3 different routes through the FAA before I found resolution is because that original builder registered the plane right away with a tail number. Most of us wait until the plane is 99% done, then we round up our paperwork, we send it in. So what happened is when I sent in my registration form and the Dash 88 form, they linked it to the previous tail number and serial number from that builder number 1, even though he barely did any work, and I undid all of it anyway. So what I ended up doing was filing all new paperwork with my tail number that I've had reserved for over 4 years. Made up a serial number. That's going to be what's on the data plate. That's the only place you can really find on the airplane anyway. Also, my DAR told me about an expedite service where you can pay somebody, turned out to be $250, and they walk your paperwork through. I contacted the lady. I told her the whole story, which is much longer than this video. And she confirmed that fresh paperwork would go right through. So I sent her email versions of the documents that I had prepared. And then once she looked them over, she had me express mail the wet signature forms so that she could walk them through. No green screen here. This is where I work now. Anyway, she got the wet signature paperwork on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and on Monday,
2 days ago. She emailed me, told me that it was successful, and she gave me what amounts to a temporary registration, which would be valid through the end of this year, December 31st. And then she called it the hard card. It would be your 8050-3, your registration. Once the registration is accepted by the FAA, then that allows you to log on to the AWS portal. I think I got that right. And do the rest of the paperwork. It creates an 8130-6. I'm making crap up. That's one of the forms that you need, and then allows me to confirm a lot of the rest of the stuff. So anyway, paperwork's in order.
So I did get this piece of tape on. This is probably the toughest piece on the entire airplane, so of course I saved that for last. You also have to use this trick. This is edge tape, which has adhesive on the back already. Same stuff I used on here, several places. The better tips and tricks done by Lars, and also the video by Harlan shows the technique. Use acetone, you clean off the adhesive that's on the back. You put about a 1/4 inch wide, 3/8 wide, whatever strip of the hot melt adhesive on here, and also onto the parent material. And then you carefully get the edges stuck down. It's a wrinkly mess. I'll show a picture. And then you come back with the heat gun and you push it at 450 degrees and you get it to shrink up. And then this should be the result. I messed this up pretty bad a couple times, to the point where I thought I was going to have to cut off this stuff, which is the second hardest piece of fabric on the entire airplane, and start over. Thankfully I didn't have to do that. Thankfully on this third time, if you were to stand back a little bit further, in fact I should probably blur some of this out, it looks fine. Then I also ran the piece up. I didn't get crazy at the top. I'm kind of tired of doing this stuff. I am going to run another piece across here, mostly to hide the discoloration from the mess I've made out of it. So the sheet metal covers are the only things that are left here. I'm laying out for this one on the left side, the one on the other side. Attempt number 2. This was the first attempt, and I actually got real close. This one actually in some ways came out better than that one, but I messed up how I trimmed this part back here. And so I ordered some new ones, and they've actually changed from being cut out with a router, which leaves this gummy edge, to being cut out with a laser. It's a much better part. Anyway, the thing oil cans pretty badly. I wish I had an English wheel and skills to use it, but I don't. And the other one, it came out better because I was able to get this edge to follow the edge of my extrusion inside here perfectly, or at least real close, closer than this. And I haven't trimmed anything off this, so it's all I got to work with. I may be able to trim this edge to straighten it out a little bit. Then I have to make some little sheet metal doublers, which they will rivet to one side and have a nut plate on the other side to hold these flush. And you have to do that at the back for where this meets that. All right, well, after struggling with the right side for what amounts to days, I got it to the point where I could at least live with it, although I'd be thoroughly annoyed. Then I got out the piece for the right, came at it at a little different method, and it turns out it fits much better. And that's like a lot of things on this airplane. You wish you could do 3 of everything, throw away the first one. And real quick, I'm going to tell you how I messed up the first one, which was everybody's got to decide where they're going to cut these, and this is pretty common. You have to cut it here, and then there's a horizontal cut above. I'm not going to push the elevator up because there's a cleco above it. Anyway, I was fitting up this piece. I trimmed the bottom edge again on the other side, got it where I wanted it, figured out this line, cut it exactly like you see the Sharpie pen. And that's where the mistake is, because you can't come straight across here because this is where the angle is inside the vertical fin. So with that piece, I ended up cut here, and it would have been a little weird notch, and it's underneath the horizontal stabilizer, but that's what caused me to order another pair. And they actually sent me 3, which is awesome, because it gave me 1 more to mess up. So at this point, right now, I have 2 extras. I have the original, which has no holes, hasn't been trimmed. It's just had this cut for this piece, and then this cut on top. And I have one that's completely untouched, and I kind of promised that one to a fellow builder. So I'm going to try and make good on my promise. One of the things I'm going to do now is, like I did on the other one, I have this roller tool. I think it's a Cleveland tool that puts a kind of a little bit of a crimp on this edge. I don't need it here. I did have to bend the tab inside the fuselage, otherwise it was pulling this in really hard and it was going to cause a mismatch, but that was pretty easy to bend. So the one place I will always hang my head in shame is that on the other side I fought to make sure this had no gap, which causes the oil canning, so this time I just decided to let that go. Now what we're expected to do is make a patch which connects this stuff anyway, and I think I'm just going to make the patch go over the top. No matter what you do, it's going to be ugly. This is not one of the prettiest things on this airplane. But I'll tell you the steps I used to get it to fit so much better than the other one, which is, this is the first hole. I've decided that has to be it. That's where everything else is based off of, because you're positioning this slot forward and aft and up and down. And we know this forward piece is going to be challenging, so I start there and I run the row across the top. What I did last time on the other side was that then I struggled with all this, and then I came down here, and the one on the other side does not like it at all. When I put this Cleco in, that's where the oil can comes from. So this time I did that top row, then I came down here and I did these. Then this one comes in pretty easy, and again, that's the one place it's not going to be happy, but the rest of it all fits. This potato chip shape turned out, no oil canning. I don't fight it at all when I'm putting these Clecos in. By comparison, this is the right side. You can even see probably the reflections right here. It also causes this to pop out quite a bit. See, there's no potato chip going on here. And if I force it anyway, you'll see it puts wrinkles in the fabric, so because it's tweaking everything. Did I get that to fit up? Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, again, in the reflection, you can probably see it doesn't fit for crap. So basically, this thing's under a lot of pressure just to see where it's at. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to grab one of my other pieces that I haven't butchered yet, and I'm going to try and see how long it takes to get caught up here, because the answer was not very long. This initially took me probably 20-30 minutes to get it to lay down nicely, and then it's taken several on and off cycles in order to get these edges trimmed where I like them. It's almost a joke how fast this is going. Through a fortunate error a long time ago, Aircraft Spruce sent me a number 21 hole finder when what I'd ordered was a number 40. And when I told them that, they sent me the number 40 and they told me just to keep this. So I did, thinking I'd never have use for it. But as it turns out, the hole size that I blow these out to is number 21. And even with, I have Tinnerman nuts on all these tabs, the Tinnerman nut hole is oversized, but this part of the hole finder still finds that centered hole. So I got these two. My taco shape is coming out perfect. I'm going to get the rest of these done and celebrate by going to eat some tacos. Because the Tinnerman nuts are still in place while I'm doing this, it's flying. And you can't see it from here, but I do have that same gap that I have on the other side, but at least they're the same. And I now have two scrap panels, which are going to be donors for material to make up that little piece at the top, and also the ones that tie these two together.
I almost finished the one on the left side before I left for work, but it was a rush job and I was going to mess something up, stick a screwdriver through the side of the plane or something like that. So set down my tools, cleaned everything up, and came to work. Been here for about a week, being here for another week. Then I picked up another 4 or 5 days for some Christmas money, airplane parts. I've got a 30 seconds in Reno already ready.
Well, instead of 30 seconds in Alaska, how about 30 seconds in Reno? My new day job. I actually trained in this airplane in Denton, Texas, and then got here for my initial operating experience, and here's my plane. It's super dirty. We wash it once a week, and a lot of stuff comes out those pipes on the front.
Thanks for watching. Looking forward to inspection of my airplane, probably January. Flying it as soon as possible after that. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.